This is WCNC, NBC Charlotte Morning News.
I started to know something was amiss when I saw police officers holding guns hunched behind vans like a scene out of a movie. It was just as this had occurred, and there were a couple of police cars and a couple of firefighters, and then there were dozens, and the police were hiding behind vans, and word spread that there was a shooter on the loose in the neighborhood.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bora Kim. We start this morning with this deadly terrorist attack in Paris. Right now, 127 people are dead, 200 people hurt. Now, breaking this morning, ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attacks. There were at least 8 attackers in 6 attacks throughout the city, one at a concert hall, another at a restaurant. At least 2 explosions were heard outside a stadium during a soccer match between France and Germany. Now, Parisian officials say 7 of the 8 attackers died during the suicide bombing, and security forces killed the 8th. This morning, France mobilized 1,500 soldiers to guard French facilities and schools, and multiple European countries are stepping up security. Now, this is a live look at the city of Paris this morning as mourners lay flowers and pay their respects. And as the sun was coming up, world leaders from Iran and the UAE and a number of other countries offered their condolences and support as the nation deals with this tragedy. And President Obama was among the leaders offering support. He called French President Francois Hollande just before 5 a.m. Paris time. The White House said in a statement last night, Obama is reiterating the United States' unwavering support for the people of France.
We're going to do whatever it takes to work with the French people and with nations around the world to bring these terrorists to justice and to go after any terrorist networks that go after our people.
The president sealed the country's borders after the attack, imposing curfews and increasing security along the railways, airports, and public buildings. Last night, he declared a state of emergency for the entire territory of France.
I decided to mobilize all the available forces and law enforcement so that we can apprehend the terrorists, and that we can secure all the areas that might be targeted. I've also asked that the military bring some reinforcements, and they are now in Paris.
Again, ISIS has claimed responsibility for these attacks, but that was not what officials in the United States originally thought. Now, the coordination of the attacks had the U.S. intelligence community thinking it was the work of al-Qaeda. Now, that's because they thought these attacks were too organized to be ISIS. However, French investigators did find a Syrian passport on one of the bodies of the suicide bomber who had targeted the soccer stadium. And support wasn't only coming from world leaders. People here in the United States showed their solidarity with the people of France. In Washington, flowers were laid outside the French embassy, and the event scheduled there last night went on as planned. Reporter Scott Broom from our sister station in D.C. has the latest from Washington.
Flowers toward France outside the secure gates of the embassy with heightened security, watching carefully while Americans showed support.
It's just really sad to see all this happening.
I don't know, it just felt like it was our duty to come out here.
It really touches your heart when you see that many innocent people gone, and we felt that we should come and just show respect to the French people.
Meanwhile, what was supposed to be a festive fundraiser for Fashion Fights Poverty hosted by the embassy carried on. A show of strength, organizers and guests said.
We are not going to let them stop us, We're just going to continue doing what we usually do, every day. And we don't want them to think that we're afraid of it.
We can't be stopped. We're a free nation and free people, and we're going to live our lives.
French citizen Francois Valentin was also here in shock.
Paris is actually kind of a war zone right now. I might be exaggerating a bit, but people are terrified. All the places where people would go out are just completely abandoned right now. It's a war they can't win.
That was Scott Broom reporting. Now, in the United States, many are asking, are we safe? At Charlotte Douglas, travelers had questions as to what happens now And in Uptown, people just asking, why did this happen again? Now, with a lot of events scheduled this weekend, expect to see more officers on the street. And one of the events where they will be beefing up security is the Thunder Road Marathon going on right now. NBC Charlotte reporter Diana Rugg is there this morning with much more. Good morning, Diana.
Good morning, Bora. Folks have been crossing the finish line since about 8 o'clock here when the 5K finishers came in. You can see some of the half marathon finishers just coming in, and there are hundreds, thousands of spectators, thousands of runners. But the folks, we talked to the race security and the race director this morning, he said security has always been intended to be tight. From the very first step to the last runner over the finish line, Thunder Road Charlotte's race director says safety has always been a top priority in the marathon's 11 years.
And we take security very seriously, so we work hand in hand with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. We have some preventative measures that we take regardless of what happened last night. More than 300 officers are lining the route that winds 26 miles through the city's south and eastern neighborhoods. More than 6,000 runners will follow part or all of that distance, aware what happened in Paris Friday night.
Keep your eyes open and to respect the police for what they do and to keep us safe in all of these events, that they are out here manning the roads and keeping us safe and keeping us, as you know, so that we can continue on and keep running.
Sarah Whitten is originally from Scotland and grew up with terror bombings as a part of life. Her thoughts are with Parisians as she heads for the starting line, and those overseas wake up to the aftermath of a horrific tragedy.
What happened in Paris is certainly on everybody's thoughts, and our hearts go out to all of those people, and definitely our prayers are with them.
And we talked to a finisher who just came in a half marathon. He told us that he felt very safe along the route. Police presence was everywhere, and that's what he expected. And the folks coming in here, they all have smiles on their faces. They're glad to be done, but it has certainly been a tense morning for some folks around here. We're live in Uptown. Diana Rugg, NBC Charlotte.
All right, thank you there, Diana. Well, North Carolina U.S. Representative Robert Pittenger is the chairman of the Congressional Task Force on Terrorism. And after the attacks, he said that he is sending his prayers to Paris and the victims, saying, quote, while investigations are ongoing regarding the perpetrators, we must remain united and vigilant against those who seek to destroy our freedoms and our way of life. A lot of people showed their support for France on social media. The hashtag Prayers for Paris was trending. People were also sharing some of their own videos of the scene in Paris. And we do want to warn you, some of the footage you're about to see is disturbing. Here is NBC Charlotte reporter Xavier Walton with what you can see all across social media.
On social media, this video has gone viral. Here's what the terror looks like from the ground. The pictures haunting, pure chaos. Thousands of photos showing police manning the streets of Paris. No picture more popular than this one, Peace for Paris. Several cities showing their support on the home front.
That was Xavier Walton reporting. Now, we want to take a moment to recap what we know right now. More than 120 people are dead after 6 attacks broke out in Paris last night. This morning, ISIS claimed responsibility for the attacks. All 8 attackers are dead, and the French president declared a state of emergency across the country, closing all of France's borders with the rest of Europe. Now, this morning, France mobilized 1,500 soldiers to protect French facilities. Multiple world leaders, including President Obama, have offered their support for France. Now, as new developments unfold throughout the weekend, keep it right here. When we're not on the air, you can get push notifications on the latest breaking details straight to your phone. Now, our coverage of the attacks in Paris continues in our next half hour with a look at the families affected by these attacks. Well, turning to weather now, a very cold start to this November morning. Meteorologist John Wendell joins us now. And John, a lot of people out and about this morning. Pretty chilly one, huh?
Pretty chilly out there, and tomorrow morning could be even colder. So yeah, it's definitely a nip in the air, to say the least. First of all, this morning we were down to 36 degrees here in Charlotte. There was some scattered frost around the area. Take a look at some of the other temperatures. Even some upper 20s being reported across parts of the area. 28 degrees in Lincolnton this morning, 36 32 degrees in Concord. It was down to 30 in Rock Hill earlier this morning. Now, take a look at temperatures. We've warmed up to 47 right now. Northwest wind at 5 miles an hour, but the air is very dry. Expect to see a lot of sunshine all day long. As a matter of fact, temperatures will warm up with the help of that sunshine up to about 58 degrees by about 3 o'clock. Now, once the sun goes down, it's going to cool off fast once again, and tomorrow morning we could see some upper 20s and low 30s across the area. A freeze watch has been posted for the Charlotte area for tomorrow morning. I'll have more details on that when I come back in just a little bit, Bora.
Thank you, John. Well, coming up, construction on the controversial I-77 toll lanes project begins in a matter of days, but some lawmakers are making an 11th hour attempt to stop it in its tracks. We'll explain.